And now we all get to take a look at Joe. I don't know if that was the greatest introduction you've ever had, Joe. Joe Giovannini, Vanini, I'm having trouble with that Italian last name still, came out of the western part of the state, and as you heard earlier from Mac, is an environmental refugee. Joe is representative of so many other people in Pennsylvania that we don't hear about. Many of them have signed non-disclosure agreements with the industry. They've been paid off, essentially, and they've been told that in order to keep that money, they can't speak to the public, which severely limits our understanding in this state of what's actually going on in Pennsylvania, as well as it inhibits the health professionals in New York State to get a realistic picture of what's going on in Pennsylvania. So think of it as the price of doing business. If you continue to drill enough wells and rapidly enough, even though the production curve is only 2 years, you keep doing that as quickly as you can, you've got the money to pay off the harmed as well as proceed with the rest of the industry. So I'd like to introduce Joe. He's a man who, if you look at him, you can envision a stonemason building that house that he built out in the western part of the state. Let's welcome Joe.
Thank you all for coming. I wish I could be here under different circumstances, but I guess we're just dealt where we're dealt. I was a 57-year resident of a small town called Cannonsburg, Pennsylvania, in Washington County. This area has been severely impacted by the industry, impacted to the point where they nicknamed my area the Saudi Arabia of Southwest PA. I don't know if that was a joke or they were really serious about that. Since 2005, it went from farmland, small industry, coal mining, just like good old boys. Nobody had a whole bunch of money, but everybody seemed to get by and did well, you know, considering. Well, now my new neighbors are Range Resources, Consul Energy, Shell Oil, Atlas Energy, Mark West Refinery. Excuse me. When these people come, they come big time. I mean, it's not you're going to see 20 one day, you're going to see 100 the next day. No, they come by the thousands instantly with their trucks, their equipment. They have bought pretty much 90% of the small business. These are guys I went to school with. They had weld shops, they had, you know, auto repair shops, they had all kind of different small businesses that no longer exist because there's well equipment parked in the parking lots. Most of them lost, well, they sold out. They tossed enormous amounts of money. It was phenomenal. You know, $1 million to these people is nothing. $10 million is nothing. $100 million is nothing. They built a refinery less than 1 mile, less than an eighth of a mile west of me, which I'm unfortunately downwind from. And they spent, I think, $3.4 billion in a cryo separator plant. Well, anyway, the water is the first thing that went bad. They did a well site 391 feet directly behind my house, killed my water, contaminated it. That's when I started first feeling the effects of this fracking. Then the refinery kind of put the icing on the cake. When it got to that point, 3 years later, it locked me up, you know, totally. I had to go to the hospital in an ambulance because I had a seizure because it just totally incapacitated me. I'm seeing a lot of new cancer research and treatment centers donated by my new neighbors. plaques on the walls, kind of like they knew that they were going to have a problem with it, so they adjusted, accordingly because of the massive amount of money that they had to work with. The chemical mine, my home, which it soon became life-threatening to me, so I had to evacuate it. I know people, they evacuate their homes for all kind of reasons: floods, hurricanes, tornadoes, but rarely did I ever hear that they were well, in Texas, it just happened here a few weeks ago. They had to evacuate a town because of an explosion in a fertilizer factory, which was deadly. Okay. I walked away from a house I built with my father 35 years ago, which I really enjoyed, with nothing but hope for remission from a health condition created by the industry. They say it's stage 4 cancer that I have, but I've talked to some people that think it just might be progressive lesions, just for 3 years spent in this toxic environment. I started doctoring. Well, I was feeling bad, then I got to feeling real bad. If you think I look bad now, you should see me about 2 years ago. I was about 158 pounds. I was very pale in color, had trouble walking. My legs were like rubber. I could barely move. And this is all from water and air contamination. First, when my water went bad, I started getting rashes on my armpits, anywhere there was moisture, my groin area, my butt, my feet especially. Seems like it wanted to go to the furthest point on my body. My fingers started getting purple and numb. This was the beginning. This was just with the water contamination. So luckily, I was in good health most of my life. I never had any major health issues. I worked hard, I ate good, I slept good, until about 3 years into this process with these drillers. 2 years after that, I went to Canonsburg Emergency Room. There, they looked at me, took my vitals, did some testing, but I was only in there about 2 hours. And they came to me and they said, "We have no diagnosis for you. We're going to ask you, you have to leave." And that's how we left it. Okay, I walked out of Canonsburg Emergency Room, went to my family doctor to try to get some testing done beyond what the emergency room people did. So we started. We did a liver biopsy. We did blood work, intense blood work. We did a bone scan. We did a colonoscopy. Luckily, the cancer did not show up in these areas. Okay, they were going to do a lung biopsy, and I was looking at them like, well, how much are you going to poke on me before you tell me anything? Because of this Act 13 thing that they have in Pennsylvania. January 7th, I was at a friend's house. I backed off of the testing. I was at a friend's house and we were just hanging out. All of a sudden, something come over me, and that's when I had a seizure. They call it a grandma seizure. Anyway, I don't remember anything but seeing the ambulance drivers looking over me. Don't remember the emergency room whatsoever. Next thing I know, I'm in a hospital room in Washington Hospital, which I spent 3 weeks being tested, probed, 10 treatments of radiation therapy to the polyps in my brain. I have 2 masses in my lungs, which, like I say, they say are masses, but they could be the lesions. Like I say, they're not telling you either way, because they'll have to divulge information that they really don't want to go there. So after 3 weeks in Washington Hospital and 10 treatments of radiation therapy, and now they want me to go into chemotherapy, they're not giving me any information. Like I said, they're not coming off with a diagnosis. They're saying, okay, you got stage 4 cancer. You could live 6 to 12 months. Okay, but they're not being particular about it. They're just doing a massive overlook of it all, which I don't think is such a good idea. I had 6 doctors in Washington Hospital look at my feet, and not a single one of them could give me a diagnosis, nor did they want to do a biopsy, nor did they want to do anything. So my only option was to relocate, get out of the area, and thanks to Mac and his beautiful wife Lisa, they come up with the money, because I did not have it, to relocate me up here to Claysburg, PA. Since then, I've been up here 3 weeks, feeling a little bit different. I mean, I don't have the pain, I don't have the coughing, I don't have the impacts of the water in the air, is lessening in my body, and slowly but surely, I hope that, it gets better as time goes on. There's a doctor up here in Altoona that's willing to see me for further cancer treatment. I want to continue my treatment. I'm on 5 different medications to try to keep the seizures under control. What else do you do? It's a sad situation where for them to make the type of money that they want to make, that they would do this to people's health. And I don't want a single one of you to get what I got from this industry, because it would truly break my heart. I thank you all for listening. Thank you for your time.
And like I said before, these 2 men are only representative of many, many others that are in Pennsylvania that can't talk to us tonight.